All right, welcome everybody. We are live once again for the Overwatch PIT Championships. We are now going to day 3 of our first group stages. 6 teams currently competing in our round robin format, and only 4 will be moving on. I'll be your host today, Jet Set Jamerson, and joining me today once again, it is going to be Hurix. Hurix, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, man. We got some incredible teams coming out of EU. We've been seeing some great action so far, expecting a lot of that to continue today, and really looking forward to it for sure.
I mean, at this point, everything's just up in the air. You
Right.
can't contest anything. After 2 days of play so far, everyone has ended up with a 1-1 scoreline currently in our round robin format. If we bring up the standings, we can just show the viewers at home what's happened. What's happened in the game so far. I mean, all these predictions, like any kind of prediction you make at this point in the group stages, is just been blown out of the water. If we take a look at day number 1, NIP getting defeated by Kittens, or Laser Kittens, excuse me, Gamers Origin defeating X-Rocks, eUnited, of course, taking their game against Vivies. But then day 2 just kind of like threw a wrench in everyone's works.
Yeah, obviously with March, a lot of the people over here in North America, a lot of people are looking at March Madness, and I think if you were trying to create like a March Madness bracket for this group stage, everybody would be probably out at this stage, just because across the board, it's just upsets out of upsets. eUnited getting dropped yesterday by Ninjas in Pajamas, I think, is a little bit of an upset. Given the fact that United's performance on the first day was just so fantastic, obviously Himsy had a lot to do with that. I think just kind of dealing with Cruz, who had a lot of spacing on the first day, and maybe the pace that they set, the momentum that they set going out of that first match was a little bit more than what was to be expected in the long term. But obviously today we'll be able to see that in our first game, as that first game is going to be Gamers Origin versus eUnited, and we'll have an opportunity to see who's going to be able to kind of set themselves away from the pack, because like you said, everybody's tied up right now.
Yeah, I mean, we only have map differentials at this point to go off of, and it's currently NIP Ninjas in Pajamas leading by basically just one map, and that's the only person ahead, or only team ahead of the pack currently so far. But I think this matchup, Gamers Origin facing off against eUnited, might actually set the pace of the tone for the rest of the matchups in this first group stages. Remember, guys, we have 12 EU teams total competing, separated into separating into 2 groups of 6, excuse me. And then the top 4 from each group will be moving on to the round of 8, competing for $15,000 in prize money. I mean, a lot is on the line for these teams at this point.
Yeah, and I'm definitely looking, at least in this particular matchup, for eUnited to kind of come back and make a stand after what we saw yesterday, which again, Cruz kind of getting shut down a little bit. It didn't look like the same eUnited that we've been seeing over the past year or so of Overwatch gameplay out in EU. And then, of course, more importantly, what we've expected to come from eUnited as a team, as a roster, especially with the move of Cruz from that support role now over to a DPS role, where on that first day he was really shining, I think, a lot on that Genji, and Valatalia as well as Cruz really kind of performing well in that dive composition. I think that's why United was so stellar in that first day, and then Ninjas in Pajamas kind of found them out a little bit, utilizing that Roadhog pretty effectively as well. But it's going to be up to Gamers Origin, a team that also kind of typically runs a dive, to try to contend with eUnited's. And in my opinion, in this matchup, if you go head-to-head in that, eUnited's going to come out a little on top here, at least given what I know about these two teams. This first map is going to be King's Row, though. eUnited going to be defending first up against Gamers Origin's attack. And like I said, I think we're going to be expecting a dive comp here from both sides.
I mean, we've been seeing all sorts of compositions coming out from this EU competition so far. Triple tank, triple DPS, solo support, lots of things coming out. So it's going to be very hard to predict actually where the action is going to take place. But right now, as we do move on to King's Row, just the staple here in Overwatch. It's been played since day number 1. And I think, yeah, it is one of the more balanced maps out there. We did see actually throughout the course of the first 2 days of competition, a lot of teams having some difficulty on the streets phase. What would you attribute that to?
Well, I think a big factor for EU just in general is, kind of some inconsistencies, especially with matchups. You talk about what some of the teams have brought to the table, and you see some of the attack phases come out from eUnited in particular, and you see some incredible stuff. Again, Valitalia and Cruz really performing well, finding those dive picks. But when they go up against certain compositions, particularly stuff like Ninjas Pajamas, where you see that tank heavy type lineup where they're Roadhog really kind of consistently knowing how to deal with that threat, then they kind of falter, I think, a little bit. And then it becomes a question of, are they utilizing the ultimates correctly? And then, if they aren't, it becomes a big thing where they're kind of falling behind and kind of ruining the pace that they set off that first point. And it looks like we are going to be seeing actually a 2-2-2 strat unfixed, actually going to be on the Zarya here for the defensive side. And we are going to be seeing that dive that is coming out from Gamers Origin once again, as expected, I would say.
Yeah, dive on defense. It's playing on a razor's edge there, but as long as the DPS can make sure they focus down the right targets, as we do have the offense getting out of the gates right now, it looks like they're going for the dive themselves on the side of Gamers Origin. They've got the Tracer, they've got the Genji, along with that Winston, and now they're also bringing along the Soldier 76 as a third DPS. So a lot of firepower coming out from Gamers Origin so far, as they haven't made their way onto the high ground, and they are not being contested right now by eUnited.
And we are seeing Valtage actually coming around and trying to put some damage into the backline, trying to look for that that Zenyatta there. And they actually get a nice biotic, and that's going to open things up a little bit for them. And I really like the high ground that they've been able to take initially, but Valtage actually put in a lot of work at the get-go.
Yeah, immediately taking out Noki before it gets traded out by Narwhal. So the Tracer's doing their work, but it's going to be Cruz coming in with a double kill, taking out Hip and Poco. And there we go, Valtaja, the DPS on the side of eUnited, doing so much work. Unfixed will be able to clean up Leaf there, and that's going to put a stop to the offense for now.
I really liked the setup that they had initially, but Poco actually falling off of that high ground, I think, kind of slowed things down for them. And then actually it seems as though we're going to be getting a pause here, I think, from eUnited's side. Just waiting to see if our admin is actually going to be able to pull that off, but nonetheless, okay, there it goes. But like we saw in that beginning stage, I mean, Poco here was able to jump up on that high ground. They had a really good positioning up there with hype on the Zenyatta as well. And, I think that if they were able to hold on to that a little bit longer, Poco maybe being able to slide back towards that back window and set up much like, you would see guys like the Fran doing, especially on first hacks, then I think they would have been in a good position to hold that one out. But Poco actually fell down. Valtage actually wound up going back over and taking out hype, and they didn't have that high ground advantage that they had initially, and they kind of gave it up. Obviously a really good biotic grenade from Rubicon to be able to kind of put the pressure down, but I think they really wanted to be able to hold on to that high ground to be able to take that first push.
Yeah, Valutaja and Cruz playing those backline flankers did an amazing job of actually applying so much pressure to the support on the side of Gamers Origin. And of course, like you had said, Rubicon landed a great biotic nade there. So that was an easy cleanup for them. As we are on the pause screen right now, it looks like there are some swap-offs coming out on the side of Gamers Origin. They might be favoring this far here just because there's no real counter so far on the side of eUnited to try and deal with it. No long range hit scan. I mean, the best person to probably deal with it at this point would be Rubicon on that Ana, but with the recent nerfs coming in, it's a little bit more difficult to deal with that Pharah.
And I think a big factor is that the fact that Unfixed is sitting here on Zarya. Obviously, this is the guy that typically plays Soldier 76 for this team, and the fact that they were able to call that out and see, they don't have that long range hit scan, like you said, it's pretty much just going to be down to the Ana. I think Leaf is going to be able to thrive here once he does get an opportunity to, once he is able to get out there on the Pharah. But another swap as well that came from Hype over onto the Ana. And of course, typically with this composition, you'll see Hype over on the Zenyatta with the dive. That way he's able to get the Discords out. He's able to put the Harmony Orb on guys like Leaf and Binbest. It's primarily, I would say. But I think more importantly is the factor of the Discord Orb, because you're able to utilize that Discord Orb not only to just find those quick picks and those assassinations with the Genji, Leaf, as well as Narwhal just jumping in on people, but you can also generate that ult faster and kind of take advantage of getting ahead of the economy by being able to do more damage with those Discord Orbs active as well. But they don't really have the pen cushion up on eUnited side here. So it's not as much of a factor. They're not having to just throw damage into a Roadhog. Maybe the Discord isn't as viable here in this current situation. But, I think even more importantly, with Cruz dropping out here, he's going to be down on that ult charge coming back into this, as he's not going to be able to get it back. I think that's a big factor here with the Genji because, you know, obviously he did a pretty good performance on that first push to kind of lend to them being able to hold out, but not having that ult charge is going to set them back a little bit.
Yeah, and especially with Rubicon almost sitting on that nano boost himself, the nano blade, such a impactful ultimate combination. It might actually come down to possibly Unfixed getting it, getting the first nano boost, depending on how high his energy is charged. I can't see right now because I was not on his character, but other things that we might possibly see coming out from Gamer's Origin here. I mean, they're still running this triple DPS, but generally we see it with someone that's a bit more far range within with 2 backline DPS. Do you think there's going to be any more swap outs coming out from the side of Gamer's Origin?
I don't think initially. I think they're going to see what they can do with the Pharah here, and we're already seeing some aggression coming out from Ben Best as he takes down Morty there.
Yeah, and so Ben Best taking out Morty, so that's one of the defenders down as they are fighting on the point so far. They've got 2 ticks on there, and it looks like eUnited want to go in for this one last-ditch effort as we do have the Nanoblade coming, or excuse me, the Nanoboost coming out. It is going to go on to Unfixed, but Poco takes out Sherrick. That was with the help of Narwhal, but it's Balataja finds a kill onto Leaf, but unfortunately, it's going to be Poco coming in. Oh, Cruz and Morty coming in. Morty getting a kill with that Lucio now, and they are going to be able to actually defend this point with just a sliver left.
A big thing here was Unfixed getting that nano boost. I mean, I think he should have had a little bit more impact when he did get it, because obviously I think they wanted to get a little bit more damage out of him, especially given the high energy that he had in that fight. But still, I mean, that was a big factor in them being able to pivot that one and kind of shift the momentum back in their favor. Now that he has that damage boost, he was able to go ahead and generate that Graviton Surge as well, which is going to be big for them in this next fight as we do some aggression, see some aggression coming out as well.
Yeah, he's going to go ahead and drop that Graviton Surge. It lands onto 3. Balataja comes in with the Pulse Bomb, gets a triple, but it's a 3-for-3 trade as Gamer's Origins are fighting back. Balataja is going to keep this alive with his 4th kill in this fight, taking out Ben Best. And there we go. Cruz is going to go ahead and force them back. They have to regroup at this point. Wow, what a great hold coming up from eUnited there.
Very important here. Cruz actually was able to generate that Dragon Blade again. So, I mean, virtually they didn't lose too much. 2 little points here capped out now for Gamer's Origin as Cruz unleashes the Dragon Blade here.
Oh, Leaf gets the triple kill with that barrage, taking out Cruz, and might just be Gamer's Origin's opportunity to finally capture out this point with about a minute left on the clock. But Unfixed is still here to try and hinder them for as long as he can as Poco gets the kill onto Balataja, and there we go. Poco finds another kill, takes out Morty, and that's going to be Gamer's Origin's curing point A here on King's Row.
Really like the decision making from Balataja there, actually, to be kind of hesitant with that Pulse Bomb. Not sure if his team was going to be able to make it in, and not really sure the impact that he was going to find with that Pulse Bomb initially. But look at this aggression coming out, pushing them all the way back from the spawn here as Gamer's Origin with 1 on cart looking a lot like Selfless at the moment, actually. But now we do see
Reverse
them
Selfless.
Yeah.
But yeah, at this point, you know, when the payload does spawn, you do have that window of opportunity to try and push up and catch out all these stragglers. They almost caught Sherrick there, which would have been huge and allowed them a lot of free reign here. But we do have the nano boost coming out from both sides right now as the payload is pushing forward. Tactical Visor comes out from Poco. He hasn't found a kill quite yet because he is facing off against Sherrick here on this Reinhardt. Finally takes him out with the help of Noki there. And the support's actually lighting up the kill feed for Gamer's Origins with 3 kills. It's going to be Cruz that finally answers back, but it's not going to be enough. It's a 5-for-1 team fight, 6-for-1 team fight as Balataja gets cleaned up. Gamer's Origin, strong team fight here on the Streets phase.
Really solid performance. And you mentioned before about the street phases, and particularly for a team like eUnited. I mean, you would kind of expect them to be able to perform well, but they do now have the Graviton Surge coming out from Unfixed that I expect to see them more than likely try to utilize for this hold here to try to contest right before the second point. Obviously, this stage would be a great way for them to kind of rip some time off the time bank if they can get a nice team wipe going here for themselves.
Yeah, there we go. We got the Graviton Surge finally coming out. It's only going to get the Primal Rage Winston. They're also going to commit the Pulse Bomb too. They get the kill though, but before that it was Cruz that came in, got some crucial picks at the initial onset of this team fight, and they're going to be able to hold for now. They only had to commit about 2 ultimates for that, and they've got the Dragon Blade along with the Earth Shatter for this next team fight. So currently eUnited standing in a really good position.
And we do see Gamer's Origin getting back into position. I did like the little shield that came out from Unfixed there onto Shark, who was able to kind of block off some of that initial damage from the rocket and then find the Fire Strike for the kill to just finish off Leaf. But Leaf now is in a position where he could actually try to make the most out of this barrage that's coming up. And I'm definitely looking forward to seeing if he's going to be able to pull that one out. Soundberry getting pretty close for Noki and Morte right now, so expect both of those to come out in this next fight.
Yeah, Leaf is going to go ahead and drop that Justice onto them, but he doesn't get anything. It's going to be BenBest that actually gets the kill, but it's a 1-for-1 trade as the Dragon Blade does come out. Cruz gets that nano boost, but unfortunately not the resets quite yet. Everyone else kiting fairly well. It's a 2-for-2 trade right now, but at this point, Defender's advantage. So we'll see if they can find any more kills as BenBest gets the kill onto Rubicon there, but it's going to be Balotage and Cruz once again, the DPS duo for eUnited, holding down this defense.
Fantastic performance actually there from eUnited. They were able to hold on to 2 really impactful ults in that last play. Both Earthshatter as Shark went down pretty early, but also, more importantly, I would say, actually, is a sound barrier from Morte. He was able to hold his out when Noki pulled his. So they're in a good position now to try to get aggressive, force these guys back all the way to spawn. Earthshatter more than likely to come out, and they're just going to try to get them off initially without even trying to get that overtime involved.
Yeah, Nano Boost does come out from the side of Gamers Origin, but a great sleep dart, and that's going to be an easy Earthshatter for Sherrick there. Follow up with that Fire Strike on Noki, taking him out, but Sherrick finally does fall, so it's a 1-for-1 trade. Make that a 2-for-1 trade as Leaf is coming in on that Genji right now. Balotage answering right on back along with Cruz, and once again, the DPS duo for eUnited just holding it down, and they're going to easily clean that up as it is in overtime. And so the Streets Phase once again going to claim another victim here. Gamers Origin not able to get point 2.
Pretty solid performance there from eUnited at the end. I mean, we saw a couple of mishaps, I think, especially at the beginning of that street phase, but nonetheless, they were able to battle back, and some really solid performances across the board from this squad, be able to maintain their composure and get back into it. You know, Cruz yesterday, I mean, going back even to the first day, Cruz was a very, very big performer. I think a lot of people were impressed with him. You know, people haven't really seen him given a lot of opportunity to really kind of show off his abilities, especially as a Genji player, and more importantly, what eUnited has to bring to the table when they're able to pin these 2 guys, Cruz and Balotage, together and really try to perform at the highest level that we've seen them at. But yesterday, I think a big reason why we didn't see eUnited come out on top was the fact that Cruz was kind of shut down a little bit. You know, we weren't seeing him as effective, and today it seems he's gotten more spacing to work with. He's gotten his team kind of has figured out now how to utilize him more effectively and more efficiently, where Cruz is now coming together with Balotage and really finding a lot of kills. We saw him a couple times in the street phase, definitely holding it down for his squad, and I think that's a big reason why they were able to make that defense.
Oh yeah, definitely. On the side of Gamers Origin, there wasn't really much to deal with him except for BenBest on that Winston, but Cruz was doing a really good job of keeping his distance and actually just going for the squishies, and BenBest wasn't really there to try and keep them alive. We're seeing some swap-offs coming out from the defense on the side of Gamers Origin. They're not running that triple DPS anymore. They're going to go ahead and put a little bit more meat on the plate there, adding in a second tank. So BenBest moving on over to Reinhardt. Poco is going to be our Winston this time around. They're still running this divey defense, though, for Gamers Origin.
And that's nothing really that new. I think more interestingly is the fact that they are running Poco and BenBest together on that Reinhardt-Winston combination. But typically you see that a lot of times on attack. You get some aggression, you know, you get the spacing, you can kind of control the point. But they're using it on the defense here to try to deal with Cruz, who obviously, as we've said, has been very, very effective on this Genji.
Yeah, right now, any semblance of high ground control for Gamers Origin just completely given up right now as eUnited are pushing in. It's going to be Sherrick that gets the first kill onto Noki. Discord Orb on the Monkey. Now he's on the hunt. Sherrick getting a second kill as Cruz, Unfixed, and Rubicon. It's going to be the entirety of eUnited are going to get this team kill on to Gamers Origin. That's going to be an easy point A take for them.
Really, really good precedent set here for eUnited to come back. I mean, obviously, yesterday was going to be a little bit of an upset for them. Certainly had to come away from that one feeling a little bit disappointed with themselves, but now just wanted to come back, you know, set the pace a little bit better here for them, and honestly, they have done just that. Cruz has definitely been performing well. The whole team looks a lot more solid than what we saw yesterday.
Yeah, right now they've got 5 minutes and 30 seconds on the board just to push this payload about 70 meters right now. So we do see Gamers Origin taking a very aggressive stance here on the defense right now, but Balotage trying to pick them apart. He's getting onto the backliner along with Sherrick, and there we go. Rubicon gets the kill onto BenBest, but Balotage in the backline with Sherrick are going to get the rest of the support line on Gamers Origin, and it's going to be an easy team fight so far. It's a 2-for-1 trade, 3-for-1 trade in favor of eUnited as Morty picks the kill onto Noki now, and the payload just going largely uncontested.
Yeah, they are going to be pushing with 3 on right now, and remember, they have just under 5 minutes just to push it to, I mean, really only about 40 more meters, sorry, yeah, 30 more meters now as it's been just pushing without contests. I mean, We're going to have to see if Gamers Origin is going to be able to get into a position where they can actually try to make a defensive hold. Valataja already finding one with the Pulse Bomb, though, and that's going to be Poco killed off.
And yeah, I mean, eUnited are just in such a huge power position as we do have the Primal Rage coming up from Sherrick, and Sherrick actually just in the back line, knocking people around. He does finally go down, but Valataja goes ahead and trades on back. Dragonblade comes out from Cruz, and once again, they're not even letting them come out to contest as we have the Transcendence come out just for the style points. That's going to be eUnited with 4 minutes, 22 seconds. They're going to complete out this map. Easy fashion.
Very, very quick pace set by eUnited, and now you have to wonder what kind of maps are we going to be seeing here from Gamers Origin. I mean, looking into their history, I mean, it's kind of all over the place for them. You know, they have 2 losses now on Kings Row. Obviously, they're not going to be going with that, but they have wins on Ilios and Eichenwald when they played over at X-Rocks, but loss on Ilios to Vivi's. I mean, I'm not sure what kind of map they would want to go against for eUnited here. I'm thinking maybe like an Anubis pick or something just to try to, I don't know, come out and maybe see if they can surprise them a little bit. But then again, I mean, eUnited first day they won out on that map on Anubis, and they had a fantastic pace in doing so. So I don't know. I mean, with that performance on Kings Row, Gamers Origin, I mean, I don't know what you can even do at this point.
It's very difficult at this point. I mean, our first round, we have a pool of 5 maps, I believe, and all of them at this point, eUnited look absolutely stellar on them, especially with how strong they've been running this dive composition. I mean, Valataja and Unfixed, they're all doing a really great job of just getting to the back line and continually applying pressure along with Cruz on that Genji. This is a very difficult choice for Gamers Origin at this point to actually decide which map we're going to go to. And it looks like, no, we're going to go ahead and take this on over to Ilios.
All right.
So map number 2 of this best of 3 series, we're going to Ilios here.
Really excited to see these guys on Ilios. Obviously, that's going to be kind of brawly between these 2 teams. And a lot of the times in EU, I mean, you don't often see a lot of these fights going one side or another. It's a lot of back and forth. You see teams going frag for frag a lot of the times. And very interested in seeing what's going to come out from these 2 teams, who's going to come out on top. Obviously, eUnited, with the performance that we've seen from Valataja and Cruz, you would kind of expect them to be ahead in this one.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, their target selection has been on the spot, right? Every single time the supports on the side of Gamers Origins are the first to go down. Even when we have like the Winston, it was, I believe, Poco who played it on the defense. He went immediately down to that Zenyatta. Like they're just doing everything right in the front line and in the back line on the side of eUnited. So this is going to be an uphill task for Gamers Origin at this point. They're already a map down here in this best of 3.
We are going to be able to jump into the game right now as teams are going ahead and picking up that composition. I more than expect here a dive composition going to be set from eUnited, and more than likely we're going to be seeing the exact same thing come out here from Gamers Origin. The question is going to be if they bring out a Pharah or not. And actually, interestingly enough, it's typically Leaf that plays the Pharah here, and you don't often see hype on the Mercy. It has come out a couple of times, you know, occasionally they bring this out, but they don't necessarily rely on it. They also like to use the Zenyatta here. But I mean, I think very interestingly, we're going to be seeing Leaf stick on the Genji, and then it's going to be Poco actually on the Pharah, and Hype going over to the Mercy to kind of combo up with that. Unfixed actually going to be on the Soldier already, so we'll have to be able to see if he's going to be able to contend with that one.
Yeah, so we're just contesting dive with dive here, but it's going to be Poco on this Pharah, who should be able to get some uncontested damage out as Unfix is going to try and deal with him, but it's okay because he does have that pocket Mercy to keep him topped off. As we do have the dive coming in, it's going to be Leaf that gets the first kill onto Rubicon, but it's both Genjis actually getting into the kill feed. Cruz taking out Noki, so some support's down, but it's going to be Leaf finding a second one. Once again, this Genji battle is really favoring Gamers Origin at this point, but Valataja gets the kill onto the Mercy, takes him out, gets a second one, takes out that pharmacy all by himself, no problem. So Valataja, the hero for eUnited at this point. Ben Best trying his best to keep this point alive for his team as Valataja picks up a 3rd kill, and this man is a beast.
Yeah, him and Cruz, again, just the performers here for eUnited as they have come together for kill after kill. Even, I mean, Cruz getting involved in a lot of those kills, and that's why their composition, this dive set for eUnited, is so strong, because these guys are able to coordinate so well, get on the same targets, put the pressure out, and find these kills. And look at this, Valataja, as well as Narwhal, actually very, very close to getting those pulse bombs up initially here, and Poco, who didn't really find too much here, is only at 28% on that barrage.
Yeah, and it's going to be Poco. There we go. Gets a huge pick onto Rubicon as Leaf finds a second onto Unfixed. Cruz finally trades on back, but is that going to be enough? Last time we saw Valataja bring this back for his team. Leaf finding a second one, taking out Morty, and there we go. Valataja finally takes out Ben Best, but still we have the Pharmacy up in the air, but Valataja once again getting the kill onto that Mercy, making it look easy as Poco is left without any support, is going to get poked down once again by Valataja, who does have to back out as Unfixed finds a kill onto Poco. It's once again traded away, but at this point, eUnited still have 43% on the board and still ticking on up as it is contested, but Narwhal getting that last kill. We got a Dragon Blade actually coming out from Leaf, but he goes down immediately to Cruz. So that is not what you want in these Genji versus Genji battles as Ben Best, there we go, Primal Rage comes on out. He finds the kill onto Unfixed and he's going to go ahead and start knocking around eUnited, but at this point, they still haven't taken the point. 60% as the Dragon Blade does come out. Cruz finds the kill onto that Auna, but he finally goes down to Noki. No problem, man. These Genji Blades not actually paying out for either Genji so far, but still the point is in favor of eUnited at this point as Narwhal does get the kill onto Morning. Leaf once again back here with his Genji, drop down to about 20 HP, but Rubicon will easily clean that up, and now it looks like eUnited might have just stabilized their defense.
And we talked about before how this oftentimes in EU turns into a little bit of a bloodbath, a lot of staggered killing, back and forth fragging from both sides, and that's exactly what we saw just there. And eUnited making the most of it by getting a lot of free percentage towards their score by holding out, and a nice sound barrier coming out there to start things off from Morte.
Yeah, we do have the Nano Visor. It should come out, but no, Rubicon actually doesn't get it off as it's going to be a dry one for Unfixed at this point. He does pick up 2 kills with it, so it looks like they at least were able to save that as they've gotten 5 kills so far. They're going to clean this up. It's in overtime right now. Unfixed with another kill, taking out that Ana. That's going to be the first round here on Ilios for eUnited.
Again, eUnited just so dominant in this matchup, and they really didn't have to do a whole lot to try to deal with that Pharah Mercy combo up in the sky. We saw Poco largely kind of ignored. I think a lot of the times Unfixed kind of killed off in the first 2 of those fights. So I mean, virtually they didn't really have anyone to deal with them anyways. It was mostly just Valataja just kind of throwing some damage at him on the Tracer here and there. But you know, when they were able to find that kill on the Mercy, Poco was forced very high up in the sky, wasn't able to kind of get aggressive with those direct rocket hits and forced himself off. He just swapped over to that Soldier, and now we are seeing completely mirror compositions going into the second map, and of course eUnited looking the better of the 2 teams.
Yeah, I mean, Valataja just went basically uncontested, and he was just free-firing from the low ground onto the Mercy that entire time. So yeah, not feeling too comfortable on the Pharah here. So like you said, we got mirrored compositions as we are here onto the Ruins portion of Ilios, but Unfixed already getting some good damage. Leaf dropped down to about half HP so far as Ben Best does go ahead and drop in, but the rest of eUnited are just going to go ahead and kite back and focus him down. Noki does get the kill onto Valataja, who was trying to do some work in the back. Narwhal trying to do something similar, but right now he is getting contested. Noki, once again, he's a DPS. Lucio getting a second kill, and there we go. Now, eUnited just completely being torn apart as Narwhal finds a kill onto Sherrick here. So man advantage in favor of Gamers Origin as Narwhal finds the second kill, taking out Unfixed. So the first possession of this point should go on over the Gamers Origin as the rest of eUnited are forced back.
Fantastic performance there from the supports from Gamers Origin, particularly guys like Noki here. You know, able to not only keep their team up and be able to kind of win the sustain game, but also being able to frag out as well. That's big. It also, you know, finding that kill on Cruz there in the back, very, very pivotal pickup for them to be able to shut that guy down, as obviously he's a big, pivotal guy here for eUnited.
Yeah, we've got the Nano Blade coming out for Leaf as he finds the first kill onto Rubicon. Now he's easily getting the resets. Is he going to get a third? He does, taking out Cruz. He's got a Sleeping Monkey in his sights, but no, he is able to jump away. He jumps to his death, but it's going to be Narwhal that cleans up the final member of eUnited there. And now this looking completely different from point 1 at this point is Gamers Origin actually in the driving seat.
And obviously, since we did see Gamers Origin ahead after that first fight, they do, of course, have a pretty solid advantage going into the second, as they typically are going to be higher in ult charge. But things are going to even out a little bit here, as we do see United getting kind of ever closer in terms of the economy. Ben Best actually kind of contending here a little bit with Shark. Shark getting pretty close to being able to get his up. And look at this, already 2 kills coming out from Gamers Origin.
but it is traded right on back by eUnited, so it's a 4 for 4. Make that a 4 for 3 as Ben Best finds a kill onto Unfixed. Now the fight is on the point as Valetaya does get the kill onto Noki. Sherrick once again finding that kill onto Ben Best, and now they're pushing forward. Leaf is the only man here, but the Primal Rage does come out from Sherrick just to get him off that point, and eUnited really do need to make up for lost time as 70% in possession for Gamers Origin at this point. Poco does have that nano visor to work with if he wants to, as Valetaya gets the kill onto Narwhal. So there we go. Finally, they are pushed back, and it's going to allow eUnited to take the point, but already 78% on the board, and there's just so much time for Gamers Origins to work with.
Yeah, and not really a lot of ultimates to work with here for eUnited. I mean, look across the board. Economy definitely favoring the Gamers Origin here, as Leaf getting pretty close to that Dragon Blade. A nice set of kills there from Valetaya, who is able to find, I mean, tremendous value just with that one ult, just backing them up. 25% now on the board for these guys, and I mean, they still have a lot. I mean, they definitely have an uphill battle ahead of themselves for sure if they want to be able to get this second map point.
Yeah, Nanoblade almost online on the side for Gamers Origin here. While all they've got on the side of eUnited is going to be this tactical visor, and they're not going to have the nano boost behind it, as we do have that aggressive sound barrier coming out on the side of Gamers Origin. The tactical visor comes out from Poco. He doesn't need that nano boost quite yet, as Leaf does find a kill onto Morty, and Unfixed is going to answer right on back. But neither of these tactical visors actually paying off for either side quite yet. But Unfixed is about to get hunted down as Ben Best finds the kill onto Sherrick. Primal Rage does come out. Poco finally finds that kill onto Rubicon with that Helix Rocket. Unfixed, not going to be long for this world, as Leaf does find him, and there we go. Easily like that. They are going to go ahead and recapture the point, 84% on the board, and it's going to be very difficult at this point for eUnited to actually come back to contest.
They should be able to make it back to the point. I mean, there was just enough time when they all died out. They should be able to get on there, but they're really going to need a lot here from Rubicon to be able to get back onto the point. They are going to boost up Shark, who's not going to find anything initially, but they do. Oh, it looks like they're going to find the Lucio kill pretty soon here, but Noki actually getting away alive is huge for them.
That is huge. He's still alive here. Now Valetaya does send out the pulse bomb, but unfortunately does not connect. It's going to be Leaf that gets the kill, but there we go. Finally answering on back. It is going to be eUnited contesting this point. 5 kills already on the board for them. Poco the only one alive. That's actually just the respawn. And so eUnited keeping this point alive. 99% though for Gamers Origin. It's going to come down to this last team fight, and neither team's really with the ultimate advantage.
We are going to be seeing more than likely, I mean, Noki, who was able to stay alive in that last one just a little bit longer and try to get a little bit ult charge. I mean, really not anywhere closer to getting into a position where he's going to be able to try to take advantage of a sound barrier over Morte. So both Lucio's not going to be able to do that. We are going to be seeing Cruz come out with an ultimate, though, initially, and nothing found immediately yet, but he does find one finally as they find 2 in favor of the one there onto Shark.
Yeah, he was immediately put to sleep by that Ana, but immediately woken up, I believe, by the Winston. Now, as the team fight does break out here on the point, they have to stay on it. It is in overtime right now, still in possession of eUnited as Narwhal finds a kill onto Rubicon. Now it's going to be Leaf's turn with this blade to go in. Is he going to get the resets? He does. Finds the kill onto Morty and Cruz. That's a triple kill for him. Will he get the 4th? No, it's going to be Narwhal that steals that final kill. But there we go. Gamers Origin bring it right on back. Now we are tied up 1-1 here on Ilios.
Man, fantastic performance there by Leaf. Definitely brought that one back around for those guys. But I think it really came down to that first fight. Just the fact that they were just so far ahead and it took so long. I mean, it was 78% on the board before we actually saw eUnited back with a point on the scoreboard. So, I mean, the scoreline definitely favoring Gamers Origin with the fact that they just had such good pacing initially. And, again, hats off to Hype and Noki, who were able to kind of pigeonhole Cruz off to the side, find that kill, take him out in a 1v3 situation next to that med pack where they were able to take out a huge threat from that dive composition and then be able to move forward from there.
All right, so now we do actually have the pharmacy coming right on back out for Gamers Origin. At this point, it lends itself pretty well to that pharmacy combo. But we do have a switch up. Valetaya actually going to go ahead and pick up that Diva as the dive does come out from the side of Gamers Origin, but a huge biotic nade comes out. Doesn't matter though, as Genji gets the resets. A double kill already. Once again, finding those supports as Unfixed finally does answer on back, but still, man advantage in favor of Gamers Origin as Narwhal comes in, gets that kill onto Unfixed, and the point is about to unlock, and it looks like it's in favor of Gamers Origin.
Still though, we do see Poco trying to contend with Valetaya on the Diva at the moment. We see him pushing them back, and they did get that first point control, but they really aren't that far ahead in terms of the ult economy because it was trade kills across the board. So although they're ahead in score, they're not too far ahead in terms of this next fight, other than just positioning.
Yeah, Unfixed trying his, Volataio trying his best to deal with that Mercy like he was doing with the Tracer on point 1, but already Leaf coming in, he's already got 3 kills, and that's going to be an easy team fight coming out for Gamers Origin as eUnited were able to flip it, but at that point, they just fed a lot of ultimate charge on over to Gamers Origin.
Yeah, I think a big thing right there was eUnited's aggression. It allowed them to be able to flip that point. So certainly, I mean, given the fact that they didn't really use anything there, they're not too far behind at all, and they were able to get some score off of that. So I don't think that was necessarily a bad trade for them, but nothing came out in terms of ultimates from Gamers Origin, so really nothing won either.
Yeah, we do have the barrage coming out, and once again, Noki on that kill feed, getting the kill onto Morty, his counterpart, and then Leaf comes in, gets that kill onto Unfixed, as once again, this far is going largely uncontested on the side of Gamers Origin. They're not able to deal with it as well as they were when they had the Tracer on point 1, another team fight won easily by Gamers Origin, and they didn't really use anything but beyond that barrage, so they're doing a really great job of staying disciplined with these ultis so far.
And this is a big moment actually here for Cruz, who's going to be able to have his Dragon Blade in the next one, having to contend, of course, with Leaf, and Noki might be able to generate that sound barrier, but he's going to have to find that kill on the Mercy early on for them to be able to get the picks and flip this point without that Resurrect being a factor.
Yeah, we do have the Dragon Blade coming out from Leaf, but he's immediately shut down by Morty. Poco does try to answer on back. He's found 1 kill, but once again, Morty coming in, picks up the kill, and it finally looks like it's going to be eUnited's opportunity to take back this point. And there's only about 2 members here for Gamers Origin. It's the Winston and that Tracer. Narwhal trying to keep this alive, but Benbest finally does go down. It's going to be Unfixed coming in with a double kill, and that's going to allow eUnited to take it. But once again, take a look at this 88% on the board for Gamers Origin.
Yeah, given that particular percentage, I mean, they really only have to win 1 fight once they flip that point, as long as it doesn't come down to a long stagger. If they can get a good team wipe going and, you know, keep some momentum along with Hype's Resurrect here, I think they're going to be in a pretty good position to be able to wipe the point and then get on top here with a 2-1.
But there are some great ultimates on the side of eUnited here, as we do have the Sound Barrier coming out. Volataio gets the first kill onto Noki. That's the opening frag, and Cruz coming in, getting those resets. The dashes come in. That's a double kill for him. And yeah, they're just going to go ahead and watch the Mercy slowly fall to her death.
Oh man, that was actually nutty from Rubicon. I think he actually got that sleep, which is why we saw him just drifting down into the abyss to be able to find that kill, because Hype was going in for that res. That was the whole play. Die on the point, let Hype come in, shift the momentum, utilize ults, and try to pull that fight into your favor, but Rubicon able to shut that one down there.
And yeah, with these team fights, we've got the Sound Barrier coming up from Gamers Origin as Leaf finds the first kill onto Unfixed, and now things turning in favor of Gamers Origin as they've already gotten 2 kills in this team fight. We do have the Winston trying to keep this point alive. Primal Rage popped by Sherrick, but is it going to be enough as Cruz and Volataio crucially get the picks onto these support players? And there we go, Sherrick with that Primal Rage, get the kill onto Benbest, and eUnited are able to turn this right on back around as Unfixed comes back to clean up that kill onto Narwhal. So 84% on the board. It's going to be one last opportunity for Gamers Origin.
But given the percentage, I mean, we should see some ultimates coming out from eUnited pretty early on, especially from guys like Cruz, who are going to be trying to more than likely take out as many people as possible. But he's actually backed up by this Winston that comes out, and Cruz needs to find the kill on the Mercy here.
Yeah, he does, but already Volataio is going to be the one that actually gets that kill, and Cruz getting a nice deflect onto Poco will take him out, but it's answered right on back by Leaf. But the tactical visor coming out from Unfixed there on eUnited is going to go ahead and clean up this team fight. Narwhal finally goes down, and it looks like eUnited might have just secured the second point here as Volataio finds another kill, taking out Benbest. There we go. That's the second point for eUnited.
They're coming back into this one. Some impressive performances across the board for sure. Of course, Cruz with a couple of nice resets, especially one onto Farah at the end there to be able to find that dash kill, dash right back up to get right back into position to try to deal with Leaf, who was trying to contest the point there. And now they're back up onto Ruins, where of course this was definitely back and forth, went in favor of Gamers Origins the previous time, but this could very well be match and series point on this one if we do see eUnited actually able to get back together and maybe makes the most out of Cruz and Volataio that they did last time as well.
Yeah, and so this is where the run back needs to start for Gamers Origin as we are moving on to the 4th round here on Ilios. And basically, yeah, mirrored lineups coming out from both sides as we do have the triple DPS along with the Winston. So the dive followed up by that long range hit scan 76, as we'll see if Ben Best can get in. It looks like right now Gamers Origin taking a bit more of an aggressive stance. They are staying on this point. Ben Best dropped really low as Balataya getting into the back line. Ben Best does have to back out. And it's going to be Poco that finds that kill onto Balataya, who was a little bit pushed forward. Now Cruz comes in, gets the kill, finally gets the kill that they were hunting for onto Ben Best. So it's a 1-for-1 trade right now, but health pretty low on the side of eUnited as Hype does get that kill onto Rubicon. So taking out his counterpart, and now they're pushing forward on the side of eUnited as Cruz gets another kill onto Hype, and these supports just going down. Noki has to stay alive for Gamers Origin, but no, he's going to be brought down by Unfix, who picks up a double kill. And once again, these supports from both sides really lighting up the kill feed so far as Rubicon and Morty coming in to clean up the team fight. That's going to allow eUnited to gain first possession of this point.
But they're not going to have that same advantage that we saw Gamers Origin with in that first time we actually ran through on Ruins. I mean, look at across the board. Both teams very stacked in terms of ultimates, and typically on this first stage of the point when it's going into the second fight, you would see eUnited with a huge advantage, but they don't really have that this time. Cruz is going to have to make the most of this here. Nice reflect on the sleep dart initially there to try to take out these supports in the back line.
Yeah, Balataya gets that first kill onto Poco, and in the back line, Ben Best trying his best to try and keep down Unfixed, but that is not the issue here at the beginning. But Unfixed does get that double kill, and they're going to easily hold down this point so far. 37% on the board, and it's continuing to tick up. And right now, they have so many ultimates in their bank there. But Gamers Origin also coming up on a few themselves.
More than likely to see Unfixed and Rubicon coming together, Shark, to try to make space with that Primal Rage just to try to get as much as possible. I mean, if eUnited is able to utilize those three and not get shut down immediately, we should see them in a good position to be able to get around 85% off this next one. So if they come out ahead on this fight, it's pretty much over.
Yeah, as we do have that tactical visor, the nano visor coming out for the side of eUnited. Unfixed immediately finds the kill onto Narwhal there. Ben Best and Primal Rage trying to keep him shut down as Poco pops his tactical visor himself. He does get the kill onto Morty, but there we go. Leaf is going to go ahead and use that Dragon Blade, but he was so low. He's only going to be able to get one kill off of that, and it's going to be eUnited already with 4 kills there, and it looks like it might just be over for Gamers Origin. 81% on the board, ticking on up, and they still have 2 ultimates for this last fight.
So yeah, coming away with just around 80%, as mentioned, and now because of the ultimates that were actually pulled out from the side of Gamers Origin, they're just in such a good position to just win this one out. We're going to have to see a lot of picks coming out from guys, especially like Narwhal, who's going to be able to get that pulse bomb coming up here. But if they just jump on him and take him out immediately, then that's going to be easy game here. Balataja already finding one in Leaf.
Yeah, sound barrier pop too, just for good measure here, and then it's going to be a Narwhal that only gets 1 kill here in this final team fight as Cruz is just getting reset after reset with that blade. Sherrod cleans up Narwhal, and that's going to be eUnited walking away with this 2-0 victory against Gamer Origin for our first game of the day.
United definitely coming back with some force there. A little bit of a hiccup, I think, against Ninjas in Pajamas yesterday. We've seen them now on Anubis. We've seen them on King's Row 3 times, actually. Now we've seen them on Eichenwald as well as Ilios. And ultimately, it seems as though United is back. Maybe they figured out their issues that we saw yesterday kind of being exposed by Ninjas in Pajamas. But nonetheless, definitely turning things around here in this series up against Gamers Origin.
Rubicon and Morty were just absolutely stellar for eUnited, I would say, today. I mean, if you saw how often they were on that kill feed and also all the sleep darts that Rubicon was just landing on that Ana, it was just absolutely amazing to watch. So congratulations, eUnited are going to be the first teams with a 2-1 record so far. This is the first group stages of the Overwatch PIT Championships. Group number 1, we've only got the 6 teams in here. Our next matchup, what's our next matchup going to be?
That next matchup is going to be Ninjas in Pajamas up against X-Tornado Rocks. I mean, again, looking at it from the standpoint of a couple of days ago, I mean, obviously Ninjas in Pajamas a clear favorite, but then, just yesterday we saw X-Tornado Rocks taking it over Laser Kittens, who did beat Ninjas in Pajamas on the first day. I still kind of expect Ninjas in Pajamas to be able to take that one, but you never know. It's been, a couple of days of upsets, so it's hard to say at this particular stage who's going to be able to come out. But again, Ninjas in Pajamas is probably my favorite going into that matchup.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I would also like to favor Ninjas in Pajamas, but like you had said, I mean, the result of the last 2 days has made this like very inconclusive to say which teams are actually gonna wind up on top. But right now, eUnited trying to make a case, trying to actually start leading the pack here in our first group stages. Um, yeah, where do you think we're probably going to see our first map for this next matchup?
Well, I mean, the first map is going to be tough to call. I think, I mean, obviously with X Tornado Rocks, we've seen them all over the board. I mean, I think they've played every map. They haven't been as consistent on Eichenwald. They've had a loss there as well as a draw. Of course, that draw went to Laser Kittens, but interestingly enough, they did perform well on Anubis and kind of inconsistent, I would say, on control points. So I think that if I was X Tornado Rocks going up against a team like Ninjas in Pajamas, I'd be probably looking for maybe going up on a map like perhaps Oasis, maybe later into the series, opening up with kind of a standard map, maybe like Kings Row. But I don't know if Kings Row is maybe a good idea up against Ninjas in Pajamas, who have shown their consistency up against a team like eUnited. So I don't know. It's kind of a toss-up because obviously Ninjas in Pajamas, I think, is a much stronger team who did just kind of flop, I think, against Laser Kittens. I don't think too much can be said about that particular series up against Laser Kittens. I think that was mostly a fluke, but we'll have to see. But I think I would open things up with some maps like Anubis, Oasis, stay away from Eichenwald for sure, given their consistency on that map. Ninjas in Pajamas, of course, and maybe just try to, like I said, keep it to Oasis, keep it to Anubis a little bit, and see what you can get on those kinds of maps.
All right. So yeah, we're just getting the teams into our lobby so we can start our next matchup here. Once again, it is going to be Ninjas in Pajamas facing off against X Rocks. And man, I'm just super excited for all these matches. I really didn't know what to expect coming into the Overwatch PIT Championships here. I mean, EU region kind of like fraught with lack of tournaments. There is very difficult to try and scout it out, especially over the course of the last 2-3 months here. It's been in like a weird drought of tournaments. So I'm really glad that we're able to put on this $15,000 tournament for the EU region.
Yeah, definitely really excited for that. But we are going to cut to a quick break, guys, while we get these teams into the lobby and get everything set and organized. Looking at the sidebar here, those are not the correct matchups, so don't look at that. The next game is going to be on your screen right here, and that's going to be Ninjas in Pajamas up against X Tornado Rocks. Definitely make sure you guys stick around. We'll be right back with that next set of games.